12-gauge autoloader.
That's Italian. You can go pump or auto.
He's Michael Moore, the man in everyone's face. The guy asking the question, are we a nation of gun nuts or just plain nuts?
My name was second highest on the bomb threat list, which kind of made me mad.
Why? Because you didn't make it to number one?
It'd have been kind of like an ego thing there, you know, knowing that I was a number one at something.
I loves my gun, loves my gun.
I'm here to open up an account.
Okay, what type of account?
I want the account where I can get the free gun.
You do a CD and we'll hand you a gun.
Well, here's my first question. Do you think it's a little dangerous handing out guns in a bank?
Now he's taking aim at America's most controversial subject.
Why do you think we have so many gun murders in America?
Because everybody's first reaction is pull the gun out.
The town of Virgin, Utah has passed a law requiring all residents to own guns.
This is a great place to raise your children.
There has been a terrible shooting.
After Columbine, no one could figure out why the boys have resorted to violence.
Why would kids do this? You don't think kids say Dad goes off to the factory every day. He built missiles. What's the difference between that and the mass destruction at Columbine High School?
Yes, I don't see that connection.
United Artists presents the sensation of the 2002 Cannes Film Festival and the only film to win a unanimous jury prize.
And then Moses himself showed up.
From my cold, dead hands.
10 days after the Columbine killing, Charlton Heston came to Denver and held a large pro-gun rally.
How could the NRA come here? To me, it's like they're rubbing their nose in it.
Mr. Heston, I'm a member of the NRA. I was wondering if maybe I could talk to you about the whole gun issue.
Critics are calling it scathing, incendiary, hilarious, and provocative.
Our children had turned into little monsters. But who was to blame?
What were the suspects doing the morning of attack? I'd heard that they were bowling.
Bowling for Columbine.
Why wasn't anyone blaming bowling for warping their minds?
A movie that will have you up in arms.
Thank you for not shooting me.
Welcome back. See, that's the only part of the song that I know.
Yeah, I think they said, "Who'd have thought we need you? Who'd right here where we?" I don't know. Something
we
like that.
teased them a lot, but we got them on
Got
the
him on the
spot.
spot.
I don't know if any of that was in the recording, and I don't know if we're gonna start, but I want to get this out of the way. Welcome to another Psychosemantic Podcast. I am Daeron, as always, and with me once more. It has been a while. Was it Snowpiercer? Was that the last thing we talked about? Lance from The Horror Returns?
Yeah, Snowpiercer sounds about right, man. It's been a long time. I've never missed an episode though, and I've never missed an episode of you and Vanessa talking books and movies either. So we've got that going for us.
We do have that going for us. I try to keep up with all of your stuff, but the Horror Returns juggernaut is churning out episodes everywhere I look. You've got Straight Wet Stream Fiends and the Action Returns and the regular Horror Returns episodes, and I know I'm missing at least one.
Every once in a while, well, we did do some westerns, but we've gotten away from that. We're thinking about some kind of like a western sci-fi hybrid down the road, but we'll see what happens. I don't know, man.
Oh, well, I don't know. Cowboys and Aliens, or
exactly,
or
yeah,
a show that does both genres, not necessarily at the same time.
Yeah, kind of like kicked it off with I don't know, like Star Wars, and I don't know, some of the Trek stuff. We had some Western stuff going on. We'll see where it goes, man. I don't want to say too much yet.
No,
I don't want to say too much yet because I don't know what's going to happen, quite frankly. But
yeah, you don't want to.
We shall see.
We shall see. We are talking. Well, I mean, with documentaries, some can just be the kicking off point for the discussion. But to get that out of the way, or if you're ready to begin our meandering.
Dude, I was born ready, man. I live in Texas. My dad was an avid gun owner. I have guns. I would like to think I'm a responsible gun owner. But is there such a thing? I guess we're going to get into that talk. And what sets America apart from the rest of the world when it comes to guns?
Freedom.
I don't know, man.
They don't have freedom in other countries, Lance. Didn't you know?
Right. Okay. Yeah, that must be it, man.
But I have a lot of experience with guns. I would say that I'm generally responsible with them. I learned a lot more about gun safety from some of my really leftist friends.
Very interesting. Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah, I can tell you this. I own two guns. Just for transparency purposes, to put it out there, I've got a 12 gauge shotgun that was passed down about 3 generations. Probably have not fired that thing in, 12, 15 years, because it's got quite a kick to it. And I also have a 9mm Sig Sauer, which is a pistol that I inherited from my dad that I'll take out to the range and fire from time to time. But I do keep that inside of a safe. It is there's a 4-number code that can get you into that safe if the wife needs to get in there. Other than that, it has to be my fingerprint. And my wife has said recently, well, why put it in that safe? If somebody wants to steal it, they can just grab it and run with it. But the grandkids can't necessarily get into it, and that's really what I care about.
Right. It would suck to lose an heirloom, but you're concerned about safety above all, which is a good thing to do with guns.
I think so, man. But we'll get into that talk a little bit more, right?
We will. So, yeah, we're talking about and around, you know how we do. If this is your first time at Psychosemantic, this is probably going to be a good representation of how things operate over here. But you picked Bowling for Columbine, 2002 documentary by Michael Moore. It covers basically, well, I guess we can get into it, but you know, there's just, like you said, America's relationship with guns, or exploring the idea, and he doesn't necessarily give all the answers, you know, of why there is so much more gun violence in America.
An insane amount more. When you look at the statistics, it's just, it makes no sense. I can't wrap my head around it, Daeron. I really can't, man. But maybe our history, maybe we'll get into some of that. There may be some reasons for that. I love the part where he talks about fear, the white man's fear of being invaded.
that cartoon was pretty good. So it's Michael Moore. I saw, so they talk about the Columbine shooting, which was April 20th, 1999 in Littleton, Colorado, which is southeast or southwestern Denver suburb area.
I guess so, yeah. Kind of like close to where, because I saw those rocks, and I know my wife and I went to Colorado last summer. Well, 2019. We went in June. And what was that area called? Was it Red Rocks, or I can't remember what that state park is called that it's close to. But we ended up doing some exploring around there. But that landscape looked really familiar.
Yeah, Colorado's beautiful. I haven't been out that way in a while since I've been on tour. I saw this in the movie theater. I don't know about you.
I did not. I saw this one just like I've seen pretty much all of his films, I guess, on, I don't know, HBO, Showtime, or whatever. Mm-hmm. I don't think I've missed a Michael Moore film that I'm aware of. I guess his breakout one was the one with the water in Flint, Michigan, right?
Oh, Roger. What was that?
No, yeah, there you go. Roger and Me.
Roger and Me was before Bowling for Columbine, which was before Fahrenheit 9/11, which was before Sicko, which was before the one that we're talking about, right? The one we mentioned with Michigan and Trump stuff.
That's right. And there have been, and then there was the Trump land, and like that was kind of like a "it couldn't happen here" type thing, if you recall. Mm-hmm. But he said it could happen here. Did he call it? I think he did.
He did say that he was one of the people that was kind of early on saying, "Yeah, he's gonna win. It's gonna suck." And Fahrenheit 11/9 was the other one, because he did. Yeah, Fahrenheit 9/11 was after Bowling for Columbine. That was about the Bush and 9/11 attacks and the quote unquote war on terror. And Bush shows up in here talking about the evildoers. With we don't know what they're gonna do, but it's the evildoers. Sicko was 2007. That was about healthcare in America. That's a whole other episode, or 5. Capitalism, a Love Story.
Yes, that's right. I had forgotten about that one. How dare we forget the love story of capitalism in this great country?
Right. Where to Invade Next was 2015. Then Michael Moore in Trumpland, like you said. Then Fahrenheit 11/9. Planet of the Humans, I guess, came out. I didn't see that.
Huh. Okay.
That one.
That doesn't ring a bell.
Oh,
Planet
he's the executive
Humans?
producer of a documentary, so it's somebody else's thing. But yeah, this is. I don't dislike Michael Moore, but I was really into him when this came out.
Okay.
Like I had seen Roger and Me, and then I saw this, and then there's Fahrenheit 9/11, and so yeah, I definitely went and saw this in the theater, and I guess let's get into it. I was in high school when Columbine happened.
Oh man. Okay. Yeah. That was, at the time, it was shocking. It's not so shocking anymore, though, is it?
No. It was. Mass shootings aren't even really getting the news anymore.
Well, when you pretty much get one a day in this country, I mean, what the fuck, dude? It's just commonplace, It's kind of what we've become. It's sickening to think about it, man, but it's become the norm.
Yeah. I think we're just going to do a quick summary of the doc real quick and then talk, because I think that's how this is going to go. We don't want to be tethered to any sort of chronology. So, Bowling for Columbine covers, like I said, Columbine shooting. It's got the 911 calls. It's got the video footage. It's got some news stuff. He's also talking about the NRA's interactions with America and gun owners and what they do around the mass shootings, like showing up after Columbine or after that 6-year-old girl was killed in school. It was like hug our gun rallies.
Oh, yes, and Holy Moses shows up every time.
From my cold, dead hands. Motherfucker. Dick Clark is a dick. It talks about welfare to work and the relationship with poverty and violence. And, hey, they go and pressure Kmart to stop selling ammunition with some of the kids that survived Columbine. Talk about the militia movement, which we'll probably have some stuff to say. The McVeigh, Nichols, Oklahoma City bombing. What's that? The brother, the fucking freaky Jerry or James Nichols. The one that had the gun underneath his pillow and kept putting it to his head.
Yeah, he said it was there, and damned if it wasn't, right?
Right.
Michael Moore went and looked for himself, and it sure as fuck was under that pillow, wasn't it?
So, yeah, I mean, I'm always surprised if somebody listening to an episode of a show has not seen a thing, but this is about a documentary. Of course, Michael Moore has a very obvious political lean, and that is in all of his stuff. He's not a PBS kind of documentarian. He's
yeah, but is he? I mean, I love the sarcasm, dude. That's
right.
one thing that always gets me.
He uses the absurd, which
absolutely,
it's a performance.
Absolutely.
That's what
I love.
That's why it's not PBS. You know, he uses documentary film to say what he's trying to say, and he does like when they were spraying that guy's house with the water from Flint in the other movie.
Oh, sure. That's Fahrenheit 11.9. Okay.
Is that
Okay.
Or here, you know what, when he interviews the cop about the dog that shot the guy.
Oh, wow. Absurd.
Or totally. I guess we can't say the dog who shot the guy who shot himself fucking around with his dog. Because as the cop does say that an animal cannot commit a crime in Michigan.
Yeah, and then he said afterward, well, maybe that wasn't such a good idea after all to put the gun on the dog for picture-taking purposes.
He's like, but he was cute as all hell, or something like that.
He was cute, man.
Yeah, it was a little beagle.
Right?
Yeah. So yeah, he uses his humor and the absurdities to prove a point. And you know, he when he's going around in Canada just opening people's doors because everybody says that they don't lock their doors, even though there is a large amount of gun ownership in Canada still. You know, it's just a different sort of relationship. And the relationship with the military-industrial complex and people from Lockheed Martin. And what did the guy say? It was like, well, you know, it's different. We don't just go and bomb somebody because they make us mad, and then Louis Armstrong comes on. What a wonderful, you know. And then it's 1933. The U.S. overthrows Prime Minister Mossadegh of Iran and installs the Shah as a dictator. 1954, the U.S. overthrows the president of Guatemala. 1963, U.S. backs the assassination of South Vietnamese President Diem. 63 to 75, 4 million people are killed in Southeast Asia. Then there's 9/11/73, the U.S. coup in Chile, where Pinochet was installed. I wrote all these down, so don't worry. This is all.
Yeah, and he's not like trying to say vote for my guy over the other guy. He's saying we're all guilty as fuck.
Right.
Every single one. I don't care if you call yourself a Democrat or Republican or whatever. You know, it's always the same thing, man. It's part, like you said, it's part of the industrial complex, right?
Yeah. There's the CIA. There's Republican presidents, Democratic presidents. I mean, Clinton is in here a lot, bombing the shit out of people, very nicely timed around his impeachment. Or even the morning of the Colorado shooting, the U.S. bombed a country. And then the cycle of it, you know, it's got the 80s, the CIA training Osama bin Laden, and there's movie. Like, isn't Spies Like Us or Rambo or something dedicated to the brave fighters of the Mujahideen?
And yes, I think that was at the end of like First Blood, right? Rambo 2 or whatever.
At least one or two movies.
Or yeah. Rambo First Blood 2 or whatever. And dedicated to the brave fighters. Yeah, the brave fighters. The ones that ended up fucking flying planes into our buildings. Jesus Christ, man. You're right. That is in there. And they haven't removed it, which is odd. I kind of thought they would have removed that by now, but it's still in there. I watched the movie like a year ago.
You know, I feel like even that would just be somebody freaking out about cancel culture. If that got taken out, it's like they're taking down our. Well, although I don't know if people are that ridiculous.
Consequence culture, Daeron. Consequence culture, my friend.
Exactly. I don't know anybody that's been canceled. What?
I will say this. That was one of the more interesting episodes that you've done. You kind of sat back, you let the ladies talk quite a bit, and I really enjoyed it for a change of pace. Instead of tying it to a movie, you guys kind of talked about. Yeah, you can call it cancel culture, or you can call it this or that, but yeah, actions have consequences. And it's another way to look at it, right? You could call it either one, but it's kind of the same end result, you know? Actions do have consequences, or at least they should, right?
I like that term better because it implies ownership of your own actions.
Consequence culture is a little bit different. You fucked up, you did something you shouldn't have, you know, you don't have to necessarily apologize for it, but let's at least bring it into the light, right?
Yeah, everybody talks about what a shitty thing you did. And then people decide. And canceling means gone. Louis C.K.'s not gone. I don't know what he's doing. You know, but he's not gone.
Yeah, haven't seen him much lately, but, you know.
What's her face from Mandalorian? She's not gone. She's got another job.
Yeah, Gina Carano, right?
That's it. Yeah. So
what is she up to these days, man?
She's working with Ben Shapiro's production company on something.
Okay.
So I
well,
don't know.
That makes sense, right?
Yeah. Work with people that you get along with. Yeah.
Right. Run, Fight, Hide, or whatever that movie was that he produced. That's
could be that. You know, there was that anti-abortion movie that Jamie Kennedy said he was tricked into being in.
Sure, said he had no idea that's what they were making, right?
Yeah. So yeah, consequences. There are consequences. So yeah, I like to say consequence culture. And the U.S., like many other countries, has a highly violent history. I think that some of the people are like, well, you know, they don't watch horror movies in England, or they don't play video games. There is something different.
We do kind of. Oh man, how far do I go here? Well, you know what? I'm on your podcast. You can edit me out if you want. You can cancel me if you need to, man. If I go too far. We do have a history here in this country of not only coming in and running out the folks that were here originally, but bringing people from elsewhere to do all the fucking heavy lifting so we could benefit from all the profits on that. I don't know if that's tied to this fucking gun culture or not, Daeron, but I suspect somehow it is, man.
Every empire did it with, at the tip of a sword or whatever. And then, yes, control. I feel like it's not like slavery still doesn't exist. But,
it exists. It does exist.
But officially, America was late to the abolishing of it. And then it just sort of turned into the prison system. What is it? 1 in 4 people who is in jail, or 1 in 4 people who is incarcerated in the world is in America.
And those numbers aren't going down from actually, you know what? I did a little bit of homework before this episode because I wanted to know, I wanted to compare violence like back in the Middle Ages, the 1700s, 1800s, 1900s, and now. Violence has gone down per se, but incarceration, I think, has gone way up. So, what does that say, man? I don't know what it says, but I don't know, man. It's kind of scary. It really is.
And like they were talking about, there's a lot more stress and a lot more fear, and it's in the way the news is done. I also, with other countries having more strict gun laws, they sort of got ahead of it, but that also, I don't know how prevalent toy guns are in other countries.
I'm not sure. I mean, I've been to Europe several times. I don't remember seeing kids out playing with toy guns, but I'm trying to think here, man. I know when I was young, I'm going to show my age a little bit here because I was born in 1968, right? So did a lot of my playtime stuff in the I guess in the 70s, and I guess the cowboy and Indian thing was still kind of around by then, like the cap guns and stuff like that.
Oh, I bet. I had cap guns in the late 80s, early 90s.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go, man. So it's I don't know. It's ingraining us from day one, right?
Yeah. By that point, they had put little plastic orange tips at the ends of the barrels of the guns, but you could easily take those off or color them black. And
Right.
as, you know, a little white kid, I didn't think of anything of it, of running
course
around
not. As
playing
a
with
little white
what,
kid, you wouldn't.
yeah, playing with what looked like a gun. The first
Right.
time I had a gun pulled on me was I was playing with firecrackers in the woods with my friends, and somebody called the cops. And the cops pointed their guns at us because they said that they thought we had guns. So we were like 10 years old.
Oh, wow.
That was
That's a
not
wake
the
up.
last time I had a gun pulled on me, but
No kidding.
yeah. Okay, I guess we can go through our gun histories. I think that might be a nice little, I don't know about nice, but something that you won't hear anywhere else, I guess. I don't know.
Okay.
So yeah, there was that. My parents were not really into weapons or guns. I asked for a BB gun when I was a kid. I got a bow and arrow, so I'm pretty good at archery.
Nice.
I probably have to shake off the rust a little bit, but
A young Ted Nugent in training you were, huh?
yeah. Swinging around on my tire swing in my backyard with a bow and arrow. But my friends that I grew up with had BB guns, so we would do that, and then, you know, it was late 80s, early 90s. I knew where my friend's dad's gun was, but we didn't touch it. We just knew where it was. We looked at it once. In high school, I had some friends that had guns. That's when we'd go out in the woods and shoot shit. And then I just sort of left it alone. And then more into adulthood, I had and have friends that are really into guns. I have some friends that really hate guns. I've been to 3 or 4 bachelor parties that started at shooting ranges. But like I've said before, my parents are children of the 60s. So they had a patch of land in the middle of nowhere, southern Ohio, and we had a rifle down there, just in case. And yeah, I've got some friends that are good communists and socialists, and they practice good gun safety, and they're really into having their guns, and they're who, if my son wants to learn stuff about guns, that I will include, because I know enough to operate them and to use them all right. But otherwise, yeah, I am for gun control or regulation. I usually, the short of it is, you can have anything that existed in when the Second Amendment was ratified. Everything else is up for discussion.
That's a good way of looking at it.
If you want to have whatever. Everything else, I'm going to argue with about whether or not it should be easier to get than a car or an abortion or a sack of weed or so many other things, or a 6-pack of beer, you know, because you can get guns in America without an ID, right? At the gun show loophole.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can go to a gun show and buy pretty much anything, right? Fully automatic.
I know in high school, that was when I really started looking into the issue. Was in high school, I had a debate class, and I had to debate against gun regulation, and it bothered me, but I had to do it for the class. That was the point of it. So that's when I really started looking into it. And it's fucked up and it's weird. And I think people don't like talking about it because they think it's concrete, but it's a fucking amendment in the first place.
Sure.
So, and it says arms. It doesn't say guns. But anyway, no president is ever going to come take everybody's guns. I don't know why people still think that's going to happen. You sent me an article about the Nazi thing.
Yeah, that's the big argument that I hear from some of my more right-leaning friends. And I can go into detail on that if you'd like.
Yes,
because I have one friend in particular that is pretty serious about this, and he almost makes sense. Part of it does make sense, but this is the big argument. It's like, okay, so if we have a national, and first of all, just so you know how where I land on it, I think that we should have the legal right to have guns, especially considering that there's more guns inside this country than there are people. It's going to be an uphill battle to take guns away from people. It ain't going to happen. Definitely not in our lifetimes, and probably not for any time to come. So it's something we have to live with.
But real regulation can happen. Effective regulation can happen. It happened in my lifetime.
I feel like I was telling you that I have a 6 Sauer, right? So it's it's what's called a semi-automatic, right? Mm-hmm. So you don't have to pull the trigger back to cock it. You can just you don't have to cock the top of the gun. You can just pull the trigger, right? So it has a clip that goes into it that holds, let's say, 12 rounds, and you can just pull the trigger 12 times in a row. To me, that's even kind of questionable, because that's a little too easy. I almost think that you shouldn't even have semi-automatic legal. But as far as having like fully automatic machine guns, things like that, there is no place in the world for that. Especially in a country like this where you've got, so many people that are on the edge anyway and seeing psychiatrists for different problems, and you have such a high level of stress in this country. I mean, you got road rage and things like that. I think there's no room at all for fully automatic. You can never argue with me and make me understand why machine guns should be available over the counter to Joe Friday. You know what I'm saying?
I feel you. Yeah.
Makes no sense to me. That being said, I grew up with BB guns and stuff like that. I've got one pistol. I've got one shotgun. I think for hunting purposes, it almost to me is unethical to go and purchase slaughterhouse meat. That's just my feeling. I think that, and I don't have the balls to do it, man, because I can't go out and look a deer in the eye and kill it. But I think the right thing to do would be to have to kill your own meat. That's just kind of the way that I see it. I think that that's more ethical than the way that animals are treated at slaughterhouses. I know that's a completely different topic, and I've gone way off the reservation here.
I don't know. I mean, it's still a form of violence that's in our life.
It is.
Not that vegetarians. I think Charles Manson was a vegetarian, but... Well, or Hitler. Maybe it was Hitler, or maybe both of them.
I'm a meat eater, dude. I wish I had the balls to go and actually, kill my own meat and have to go through that in order to, to prepare it and really have a close relationship with what you're eating and eat it that way. I think that the way slaughterhouses are run is very unethical. I think the animals are treated really poorly. I don't know if you've ever seen any of the videos of like the chickens that are being processed and put through the doorways and shit like that, and stripped of their put through machines while they're still alive and stripped of their feathers and stuff like that. You seen any of that kind of crap?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, it's sickening, man. It's sickening.
Especially factory farm type massive. Yeah, I mean, the better, like you said, I think also as an omnivore, it would be cool if I could. My sellout compromise is I get all of my meat from a farmers collective in the state, that it's different farms around the state. They don't offer the same thing all the time, but they kill and process their animals, and I get community shared agriculture, they call here. Since it's Columbus, They've got stuff in some of the grocery stores, like Whole Foods or maybe Whole Foods, I don't know, but definitely at this place that was called Lucky's. And also once a week delivered to my porch.
Definitely more ethical than going to Walmart, right? And buying a shrink-wrapped package of hamburger meat.
It seems so. And it is all local raised, and you get to pick a little bit. You know, there's kosher and highest ethical standards and this and that and the other thing. But it is not killing the animal myself. And
right.
My wife's been a vegetarian for ever, but she likes her leather boots. We've all got our, things.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. And she doesn't not see that she likes leather boots, but she's like, I just don't eat animals.
Right.
Right on. Friends of mine, you've probably seen me share stuff from a place called Pierogi Mountain. They're vegans, and they still serve meat at their restaurant because that's their personal belief, not everybody's.
Mm-hmm.
But we are getting a little bit off topic.
We are, but I do wish I had it in my heart that I wish I could have the discipline to force myself. If you want to eat meat, Lance, you should have to go out and kill that animal. You should have to dress it. You should have to cook it. I really think that's the height of being ethical when it comes to eating meat. Just my opinion.
That's a good way to go after it. Everybody gang up on a cow, because I can't eat a whole cow.
Let's go tip it, right?
Yeah, let's go get it. Take the cows bowling. Take them bowling.
Bowling for Columbine.
Yeah. Bovine for Columbine.
Ouch.
Puntastic. But yeah, speaking of the fear and just guns being everywhere, I went to the zoo today. Hadn't gone. First time I'd gone in a year. There was a guy in front of me. Needed to take his gun with him to the zoo.
What?
Yeah.
Is he gonna go wild game hunting or what?
I don't know. I was just he was like they had people staggered and he was a row over. But yeah, he just had his gun with him. And
like in a holster or what?
Yeah, it was in a holster on his hip.
Cowboy style, huh?
Yep. Looked like, I don't know, basic, not a revolver, but like, I don't know, 9mm. The clip didn't get close enough. But my son, who is a student in school these days, I don't know. That guy's afraid enough to take his gun with him to the zoo, and I've got my 6-year-old saying, "Daddy, I don't want to get shot."
Wow. Yeah, that's tough, man. When you have kids, grandkids that are in school these days, it's like they have to learn completely different things than I guess we thought about when we were in school,
The active shooter drill shit is fun. Like, I mean, we had tornado drills and stuff like that.
Oh,
and
our duck and cover, right? In case there was a nuclear bomb that went off from Mother Russia. We had to duck and cover under our desks so we could survive the nuclear blast.
And W. Bush, who we talked about earlier and who's in the documentary, they had, I've said it sometimes at the end of the show about, make sure you've got duct tape by your windows in case there's a gas attack. By the evildoers.
Holy shit. So
orange
surreal,
level
man.
alert. Yeah. But yeah, those active shooter shit, when, he started going to school when he was 4, like preschool.
Okay.
And, 4, 5, teaching me how to stop the sensors in the toilets from going off in case you're hiding from a shooter in the bathroom.
Jeez, wow. There's no reason we should be having to go through this, man.
It's fucked up. Thankfully, they tell us when they've had them, so we can talk have conversations after school and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was none of that was really a thought when Columbine happened.
I don't know how accurate this is, Daeron, but I did look at one chart and it said, your chances of dying from this, that, or the other, right? And I think at the top was heart disease, right? 1 in 6 chance of dying of that. 1 in 7 chance of dying of cancer. Dude, 1 in 306 chance of dying in America by gun violence. That's insane.
Like you said,
more guns than people, literally, right?
And what they were talking about in Canada, there was roughly enough for 1 or 2 guns per family.
Right.
Which is a big drop down, but still reasonable, I guess. I don't. I mean, I don't. I don't. It's not like I don't. Well, Betsy DeVos is talking about bears everywhere.
Right.
I don't know. There is a fetish, I think. There are people that like guns, and there are people who fetishize guns. And I think that's the difference. There's the people that have hundreds and hundreds of guns, and that freak out if there's any sort of limitation put on any sort of gun. I can't remember who it was. Did you see the newspaper went around and had people do photo spreads with all their guns on display?
That sounds familiar, but now it almost feels like we're like in a Terminator movie at this point, right? Like, what's the fine line between it's fun to watch this kind of shit for entertainment, right? Like you go down to the basement and there's a zombie apocalypse. Okay, so this is the guy you want to be with, the guy that pulls out a remote control and pushes the button, right? And the walls open, and there's every possible type of knife, sword, gun, all kinds of ammunition, this kind of thing. But this really happens, right? This isn't just in the movies. Is that what you're telling me?
That is, yes. I'll send it to you after we get off. But it's their guns cover their entire deck. Or
just so they can say they have them, right?
You, like I talk about, you are a gun owner, not a gun fetishist, I would say, if I was describing you to somebody.
Interesting.
I don't even want to name other people because I know some people don't like people knowing that they have guns. But I know plenty of responsible gun owners, and I know some people that shouldn't have guns, I don't think, or shouldn't have them just laying around. We were talking about I think the last time that I had a gun on me was some years ago when I was still living on campus, and a friend of mine got robbed at gunpoint on his way to my apartment. Or he came to my apartment after he got robbed. But he was all shaken up. So we were going to get shit-faced. So we went to get some supplies. And on the way back, we got robbed at gunpoint.
What?
These little 14-year-old kids with MAC-10s jumped out behind a dumpster. Shaky hands. That was the scariest part, was how shaky their hands were.
That scared the fuck out of you, man. One slip, and you're fucked.
And
one slip,
especially with those guns.
Yeah.
And I knew my roommate had his gun on him, and all I remember thinking was, "Don't pull it out. Don't pull it out. I'm gonna die."
Oh my god.
You know, like you might be able to save yourself, but guess what? And they were robbing 20-something-year-old me. So you know what they got? They got half a pack of cigarettes. They got a condom. They got a $10 bill and a bank card that I canceled.
Okay.
And they ran away. And none of that was worth my life.
So you've actually been robbed at gunpoint then?
Oh, yeah.
Literally.
And I've been stuck in police shootouts.
Got to be a scare. Oh, wow. That's got to be even scarier, right?
A little bit. It was same neighborhood, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Twice. Well, I wouldn't say the first one I wasn't in the shootout. You could go out onto the balcony on the top floor of our apartment. It was this row of brick duplexes just off campus. And Ohio State campus. And you could sit out on the balcony, and there was a police standoff 2 apartments down.
Oh, wow.
With SWAT and all the vans and all the lights, and you couldn't go anywhere, and everybody had their, I don't know, I don't want to say M16s, but they're long black guns that the SWAT team has.
Mm-hmm.
And the second time was driving through campus. Might have been the same street, but we were just going home from work. It was me and my future wife. And all of a sudden we heard somebody yell, "They're shooting." And we slammed on the brakes, and then the cops came up behind us, and there was a guy sort of across the street on his porch that started shooting at the cops. And the cops were all over the fucking place. We, slammed on the brakes, slid down inside the car. Eventually, somebody, a cop or a SWAT person, I don't know if there's a difference, but they get mad if you don't differentiate, came up and just sort of said, "Okay, when I tell you to go, run that way." And so we did, and we ended up hanging out on somebody's porch for 5 or so hours, waiting to get our car back.
Holy shit.
It didn't get shot.
Okay.
The car did not get shot, but the battery died.
Yeah, okay.
And so, yeah, so that was, I think, my last accidental experiences with guns. Since then, I've been to a couple bachelor parties where the person really liked guns, so it was like the shooting range and then whatever else.
Holy crap, man! I've never been in that situation before, man. I've never had a gun pointed at me, thank God. I've never been in a situation where I've had to point a gun at anyone. But I do. I am very worried, about my granddaughters going to school, right? Because they are my grandson's in San Antonio. It's a less affluent area, and there's more people of color in the area that they live in. And I don't know, man. It seems to me the cops might get a little bit more itchy trigger finger when you're in that area more than when you're in, say, an all-white neighborhood, if you catch my meaning.
There seems to be a function of the justice system that leans that way, implicit bias. I don't know if we want to bring up the big Republican bogeyman or boogeyman. Our UK friends give me shit for saying boogeyman. They say it's bogeyman. The critical race theory.
Right. It's all the same system, though, man. You know?
I mean...
And there's a lot of, for us, it's a helpless feeling, right? So you send your kids or your grandkids off to school, and you kind of trust that the public school system is going to take care of them. But then you hear these stories about more and more of this kind of crap going on, and I don't know, man. It's enough to make you really nervous.
It is a lot more unnerving to always have this person has a high chance of having a gun.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the sort of thing that I feel like a lot of America deals with. And I don't know if that's why some people deal with that by being like, well, I'm going to have a gun. But then there's the whole good guy with a gun thing doesn't really exist. And the cops don't really want you to do that either.
Right.
If you want to be that good guy with a gun.
Sure.
The cops that you think you're helping don't want you to do it because they might shoot you. I know, especially if you're not a white guy. There have been people trying to help that have got shot.
Yeah, for every one story that you hear that goes the right way, like hero steps up and, talks down a guy that had a gun pointed at the head of a convenience store guy. there tend to be 10 to 100 bad stories where it doesn't quite go as scripted. Life ain't a movie. You know what I mean?
There was that moment in time where I feel like, especially the more affluent people in America, suddenly realized that there is a lot of gun violence in America. Was when school shootings started to happen.
Yeah, but they tend to have people that they pay, right, to be their bodyguards and stand in front of the bullet for them. Whereas folks that aren't in that unique position, unfortunately, if they want to protect themselves, they have to do it. You know, they don't have the money to go pay someone to be their bodyguard or what have you, right?
Generally not. Yeah. There is a discrepancy. It is a larger problem in impoverished areas, like you were talking about with it. This also being a mental health issue. The total lack of real focus on mental health care in America can't be helping.
Healthcare, America? What is this healthcare of which you speak, Daeron? Come on.
Oh, I'm sorry. Socialism, I think, is what it's called.
Yes, that's right. Fight out communism. How dare you take care of your population? How dare you?
It's fucked, Lance. It's fucked up, man. It is. You did do a lot of homework, man. Lay it on me. This is your place where you don't have to worry about groans or eye rolls from some people that might not like to hear you talk about politics or socio-political issues, which this is both. Yeah, man. What do you want to? Where do you want to go next on this?
I think it's kind of frightening, dude, because I really do care about my children. I care about my grandchildren. I care about their kids, you know? I mean, at some point, so, you know, no big mystery here. I've told you before that I married a woman that already had 5 kids, right? So I got a super big head start. I'm not terribly old, dude, but I'm already looking at, hopefully within the next 5 years or so, being a great grandfather, right? So I care about these next generations. I really do, and that's why I'm so concerned about the environment and trying to get away from polluting things the way that we are and burning the planet down the way that we are. But this the fact that I read in 3 different places today that there's literally more guns than people in the United States is just a really scary thought. And they come in innocent, man, and they're our future. That's what we have to worry about. At this point in my life, man, if somebody sneaks up on me and shoots me in the leg and I'm crippled forever or whatever, or ends up taking me out or whatever, it sucks. I won't enjoy it, but it won't be as big of a tragedy as what we're looking at with these next generations. That's my big focus right now, man, is I'm super worried about what's going to happen the next generation from now, the one after that, and so on and so on. How do we reel things in? How do we get things back to where it's safe, right? Just to walk down the street and be a citizen. And we're supposed to be the gold standard. America is allegedly, we certainly have a lot of wealth here, right? We just don't distribute it very well. But we're supposed to be the gold standard by which the rest of the world is judged or judges us. How do we keep these kids safe, man? I don't know what the answer is, but we got to start doing something. And I'm not really sure where to start, but there's got to be an answer here. There's got to be.
I think one place, it's not a blanket fix because it is a multifaceted problem. That's why I don't think driving around in vans or like in Monty Python, clanging the bell, bring out your guns, or anything like that. That's not going to work. Gun buyback programs do help. Today, actually, the day of recording, there was a gun safety group that was handing out free gun locks to anyone, no questions asked.
Well, I mean, that's baby steps, right? At least towards safety.
I think repealing the Dickey Amendment would be a good place to start. I don't know if you're familiar with the Dickey Amendment.
I am not, but I'm intrigued, man.
Well, that was added, which one? 1996.
Okay.
It was part of a government spending bill that changed it and prevents the CDC from studying gun violence. It said none of the funds made available for injury prevention and control at the CDC may be used to advocate or promote gun control. And it was lobbied for by guess who? The NRA and a Republican. And
isn't the NRA like on the verge of bankruptcy right now? Do you know anything about that? I've heard that they're having severe financial dire straits, or at least they're saying that they are, right? They're crying for help right now.
They are losing money, and they tried to declare bankruptcy to stop a federal investigation
lawsuits,
into them.
Right?
Yes, and lawsuits.
Okay, makes sense.
And
all right.
Recently, a judge said that they could not use bankruptcy to avoid the lawsuits and the investigation. But yes, membership is going down. I think membership probably started, well, it probably surged here and there. It probably surged around 9/11 and stuff like that. But I bet a lot of people started losing interest in the NRA when they became not what they might, well, I don't know, what the same year that the KKK was determined a terrorist organization was the year the NRA was founded. Not that it's necessarily related, but
yeah, is that a coincidence or or not? Like that was the late 1800s, right? Right around the end of the Civil War.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
But I feel like earlier the NRA was about gun safety, about promoting,
as it should be, right?
Shooting and target practice and responsible ownership and stuff like that, at least frontly. And now they are like righter wing than Fox, and it's just a gun lobby. Like it's a lobby for the gun manufacturers rather than gun owners.
A tool, basically a tool, to continue to peddle their product, as it were, right?
And I think that there was a massive switch to lobbying for weapon manufacturers rather than weapon owners. But the way that you do that is to make weapon owners afraid they're going to lose their weapons.
Yes, that good old-fashioned fear.
Yeah, Bill Clinton's going to come get your guns. Obama's going to come get your guns. Trump said he was going to come get your guns, and he didn't even do it.
Sure. Yeah, at this point, there's no getting of guns. that ain't going to happen. That is total fantasy land in America.
You've got to chisel away here and there on this massively overgrown thicket of problems so you can get down the path without getting ripped to shreds.
Can't we at least make gun ownership something that is, can't we be responsible? Can't we be, safe? Can't we be in control of our gun ownership rather than have it, get so out of control? I don't know, man. I guess I don't get it. I don't understand why, if you have something in your house that could literally kill someone with the pulling of a trigger, and you've got children, you've got grandchildren, you got family members around, why wouldn't you want to make that as safe as possible, right?
Because the evildoers might break in at any minute and get it.
Okay, sure. The dark evildoers, right?
The Africanized bees.
Jesus. So it all comes down to money then. I see what you're getting at. It's the people who manufacture these, and it becomes a tool for them to sell more and more of it, and goddamn whatever happens with it once it gets out there, right?
Yeah, it's another
long as we get our
lobby.
Pocket change. Wow.
It's another massive corporate lobby that pretends that it's for the working class or whatever, the everyday American.
Oh, sure.
And they don't give a fuck. That's why Charlton Heston was going in places where people might start thinking about getting rid of guns or not giving their children guns. They've got to go have a sales event. Got to put the balloons and the wacky wavy inflatable tube man out in front of the dealership. Everything must go. And yeah, it's, I don't know. And I saw that they're trying to do something similar here, but in Texas, they're working on conceal and carry, no training required, no gun license required. Is that what I saw?
Yeah, and we should be going the opposite way, right? I mean, we should require more training. We should require more safety. We should require more responsibility. Why are we going the opposite direction? I guess, like you say, it's just to get them out there in as many hands as possible and turn as much profit as possible for the manufacturers, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's so many things come down to short term. Well, there's some stuff that has been set in motion ages and ages and ages ago, but so much breaks down to accumulating wealth.
So, what about our what about our police force?
They need more training too. They accidentally
Yes,
shoot people all the fucking time. And you might have heard my quotation marks in my fingers wafting in front of the microphone there when I said accidentally.
In true Michael Moore sarcastic style.
Yes.
I picked up on that all the way, man. But all kidding aside, man, if we were to make some kind of some sort of an effort together to make gun ownership safer, to protect the people that are in charge of protecting us, and give them good, sound, I guess, help when it comes to their mental breakdowns. Because if you shoot somebody, it's gonna fuck with you, right? No matter what. I don't care how cold and heartless a person you are. If you're let's say worst case scenario, you're involved in a robbery and you have to be the cop that shows up there, and a robber turns his gun on an innocent person and you have to kill that person, okay? You're going to need some sort of psychological help, right? One way or the other. That's going to fuck with your head. Why are we not doing that? Why are we not making sure those people get that kind of help?
Because it admits that there's a problem. I think partly. I think it asks questions. And from what I understand, I believe police officers are required to go to therapy when they have killed someone. And I know the ones that are awaiting their trials sure have a lot of time and resources because they're all on paid vacations while they are awaiting the stuff. But I'm not exactly sure. But they also get, especially compared to other countries, so little training in de-escalation. So little training
that makes no sense, because de-escalation saves money for everybody, right?
Money and lives. Two important things.
Well, you know what? I was trying to focus on the money part because that's what it seems like we're most concerned about. But yeah, you're right. Obviously, it saves lives, and it saves people having to go, to an asylum or have, further psychological problems, right?
And the pilot programs in San Francisco. I think it started in Manhattan, and de Blasio said that it's going to become state or citywide in New York City, and I think they're working on something about that here. But the different team, part of the defunding the police, is taking some of the funding and giving it to trained social workers or medical care professionals to go when somebody is having a mental breakdown, instead of sending somebody with a gun, sending someone with a higher likelihood of de-escalating that situation. And they can they worked out very well. That's why, like I said, in New York, they started it in Manhattan, because usually when you want to take the chance of violence away, they usually do it with the wealthier first.
Okay, sure.
And there was a high success rate in problems resolved in non-violent ways. And there are a lot of things to do with that money that bloated police budgets just put into what?
Ammunition,
tanks from Patriot Act,
right? Sure.
Tear gas. They pay for the lawsuits against all the abuse of force and the killings.
Yeah, but those lawsuits might not even have to happen if they would just de-escalate. You know, like you said, from the get-go. Why get into all those problems? Why spend all that money? Why waste all those resources? Why kill those people?
Yeah, I mean,
it seems simple.
It does seem simple, and it's a choice, because there are police in other countries that have a lot of training in that stuff. There are police in other countries who don't carry guns. But if you send a hammer to a job, it's going to do what a hammer does.
Right.
And didn't get to finish it. This was kind of a quick thing, but this is going to be a ongoing topic for us, I think. I'm still halfway through the rise of the warrior cop, the militarization of American police. And there is a very complicated thing behind that. And it goes through the history of policing in America and the angling towards the more violent stances. And no-knock warrants play a big role.
Oh, yes. That makes no sense whatsoever to me. How can there be a no-knock warrant? Doesn't even make sense.
It was a dreamed-up thing by a militaristic police force. That's something they could do. Go ahead.
Which makes no sense, because as Republicans, aren't we supposed to worship our own private home, our own private territory?
Yeah, the castle doctrine.
So how does that make any sense whatsoever on either side of the equation?
Well, because it's not thought about, what if this ever happens to me? It's never carried out with the thought that it would ever happen to the people that are instituting the practices.
Well, I know you have, because you've talked about it before, but of course you've seen the movie Brazil, so you know how that works.
Right. So yeah, it is interesting is a weird word to say, but it's a deep well of an issue, and it runs, as we've talked about with many countries, but America is a very warlike country. I can't remember, has there been a year that we have not had military forces somewhere? I can't remember how long it's been.
If there ever was, I guarantee you could go down and open a new bank account and get a rifle for opening your account.
Oh, that was what, we have over 500 guns in this bank, they said.
Right. Do you really think it's a good idea to be licensed to sell guns out of a bank?
I mean, I guess all their tellers probably have guns. There was that town that passed a law requiring everyone to have a gun.
Oh, yes. Was it some town in Utah or something like that?
Utah, Wyoming, Dakota, maybe.
Oh, I think even somewhere up in New England, right? Like, not Rhode Island. Holy smoke. Oh, man, I'm showing my age here by having a brain fart. Isn't there a state up there that required every citizen be armed? Or you get taxed? I truly think there is. Damn it. What is the state that used to have the old man of the mountain?
Oh, that's New Hampshire.
Collapsed? New Hampshire. Don't
Yeah.
they require that you have a gun, or is that just a old wives' tale that I've heard?
I'm not sure. I've only
Could have
been.
sworn I heard that.
I think there are some cities, but I don't think there are any states.
Okay. Well, there's listeners yelling at me right now, so well, you'll hear it, I'm sure, Daeron.
Hopefully, get some good feedback. Got to find it somewhere. Got to get it somehow. But yeah, I've been to Minnesota or New Hampshire once, and that was when the old man on the mountain fell off the wall. That's not why I didn't come back. It was just happened to be we were playing a show in New Hampshire in Manchester.
Okay.
On tour, and yeah, while we were playing, that's when the thing fell off the mountain. But
so you caused it.
That was the joke
for
the rest of the tour. Anytime we got one of those quarters that had that on there. So yeah, I wanted to say when you guys were talking about Tremors.
Yes.
That there was, after the show, the house we were crashing at, somebody was watching a Tremors porn parody.
No way.
Yes. But instead they were more dick-shaped.
I can only imagine.
I can't remember if it was on a DVD or if it was on the Spice Channel or some shit, but
right.
I was not interested in hanging out watching porn with somebody, so I just made note of it. It could have very well be called Attack of the Penis Monsters, but it was...
Sure.
Yeah,
why not?
Yeah. A little bit of levity, because we are talking about some heavy shit. I know you've got to go before too long, so I want to make sure that, like I said, we're going to find ways to talk about violence and gun violence and things like that other days and other movies. But what would you be bummed if you didn't bring up before we went?
Yeah, I just I think that things have gotten so far out of control, and if I allow myself to let this creep into my mind, Daeron, it really starts to eat away at me. But I'm gonna be I'm actually on the waiting list to get an all-electric Ford pickup truck for next year, because I want to have a pickup truck, but I want to do my part to go all electric. I have a Prius now, which I still have to fill up with gasoline and stuff like that. But when you look at how many people, particularly folks that aren't fortunate enough to have the money to be on the bleeding edge of technology, that are going to be forced to drive these, incredibly polluting gasoline burning vehicles, I just don't see any way out of this. And I love the way that we're back in the Paris Accord and we're talking to other countries about trying to cut down. I just don't see how it can all be lip service, man. I'm very, very concerned that we're so far into this thing that it's going to be decades before we can get out of it, especially the common person. And it's kind of the same way with guns, man. And if you allow yourself to get too worried and depressed about it, it can consume you, man, because there is so much out there. And let me put it to you this way. The rich aren't exactly getting any poorer, and the poor people right now aren't exactly getting any richer. So I don't really see that divide going away anytime soon. And when you've got that many violent weapons out there in the hands of that many people that are in desperate situations, I don't know, man. I'm trying not to end the show on a down note, but it's really, really hard to keep the faith right now, man. It's really hard to keep the faith.
One of the things that gives me some hope for the younger kids coming up is that a lot more of them seem to be aware of the situation.
They do, man. And when you watch a movie, So let me give you an example. Okay, so I watched a Bill and Ted movie from the 80s, right, when I was in high school. And the big line was, oh man, those guys are fags, right? And that was like perfectly acceptable. And this was only, what, like 30 years ago. And now you watch a lot of movies and you've got a lot more inclusion and you don't have those kind of ugly words as much anymore. So that does give me a little bit of faith, man, that these kids are smarter than we were. They're actually making progress that we weren't making at that time. And maybe there is some hope. Maybe there is some hope.
Yeah, maybe they'll, maybe the Mitch McConnells will fade faster, and these kids, these I don't even, the Zennials, what are they called now? I can't keep
Zennials. Who knows, man? Where are we at this point, right?
I'm in that 79 to 84 that they keep changing the name of what it's called generation, but maybe they'll get us that good socialism for when we're actual old fuckers, and we can have the health care that our government tries to deny us while having for themselves.
Yeah, and it makes no sense not to have health care for everyone. And it makes no sense not to have education for people who are actually willing to, put in the work. Because how else are we going to compete with the rest of the world? Strictly from a selfish point of view, right? If we don't provide those two basic features and things for our population, we're going to get eaten. We're going to get overtaken by China, by Russia, or China. Yeah, Russia, whoever else, right? Am I making any sense here? I mean,
we are falling behind the rest of the industrialized world.
We really are, and further behind.
Stubborn, the people that think that history goes away if you tear down a statue, don't want to change the healthcare system, don't want to change wage disparity. I mean, the federal minimum wage hasn't gone up in 10, 20 years. I can't even remember how fucking long. It's wages, healthcare, mental healthcare, being part of healthcare.
Mm-hmm.
Wealth disparity. Take care of those things, and there will be less violence, because so much violence is a mental health problem or a desperation problem.
Desperation, frustration, absolutely.
So there are a lot of ways to fix it that require no taking away of all your guns.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, okay, I'm going to protest this way. No, that's not okay. I'm going to protest this way. No, that's not okay. I'm going to protest. You've got to pick one. You can't say everything won't work.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. Yeah, I believe the children are our future. May they build guillotines if necessary.
Oh wow, that was nice, man. I might have to use that soundbite. Except if you have it copyrighted, I can't, because I don't know. But you do know we ran afoul of Universal Music, and I've had to redo all of our shows, right?
I did hear that. I had a similar thing. I hereby grant all my friends permission to use any of my music I have recorded on for anything they like.
Here.
As long as
nice.
It's not, I said my friends, so that means dickheads can't use it. Haha. for nefarious things. But
right.
Yeah.
Misquote you perhaps.
Yep. And it's a little bit more. I remember we thought that we copyright our recordings by mailing them to ourselves and not opening them.
Oh boy!
By getting like a postmark on it as some sort of backup proof, when we thought that what the dumb shit we were recording in basements in high school was going to be stolen by anybody for anything.
I think Garth Brooks is using your original song right now to make $1 billion, man.
Yeah, right. So yeah, that's pretty much all I do now. And I still, if I can bang out something for you, I'm going to want to do that. But yeah, I just use clips from my own bands, and I've got a couple friends' bands who said, yeah, you can use my stuff.
Oh, cool.
So you'll hear a lot of the same bands over and over again, but they've all given me permission, and I don't want to knock on wood and make my microphone sound like shit. But so far so good since then. I don't know, I'll ramble about that later because I'm taking us off the rails and we're so close here to the end. Yeah, I think you need to, if you want to pimp any of your shit or if you want to say anything before we go.
Yeah, look, keep your eyes open for www.thehorrorreturns.com because Phil and I are finally going to start building all our shit, our empire around our website, man. We actually have the name, finally. So I've got to start putting all our stuff there so it's easy to find. But yeah, thanks for listening, dude, and thanks for inviting us onto your show. It means a lot to me.
I'll always love having a chat with you. I think we did okay. Like we said, I don't think we were expected to solve any problems, but I think we had a good discussion. And I don't know. It's a little bit more of a look at where we stand on shit, leave ourselves open for response from people, to continue the dialogue that somehow I feel like is helpful, at least helpful for me. I enjoy it. So, yeah, until then, until the horror returns, or until the Psychosemantic Cast returns, don't let them get you to the second location, and don't forget to duck and cover. Watch out for the evildoers.
Duck and cover. That's the first thing to do. Duck and cover. First, you duck. And then, you cover. You duck and cover tight. Duck and cover under the table. It's a bomb. Duck and cover.
He did what we all must learn to do. You and you and you and you. Duck and cover.